Bethesda hasn't made a new Fallout game in 8 years. 11 if you don't count Fallout 76, which I don't. Meanwhile, Todd Howard has been busy re-releasing Skyrim for the 47th time, and somewhere between the Nintendo Switch version and the smart fridge port, Fallout 5 got quietly pushed to sometime before your grandchildren retire. But while Todd figures out which household appliance deserves Skyrim next, 6 studios actually sat down and made post-apocalyptic games in 2026. Let's talk about them. I went through virtually all post-apocalyptic RPGs releasing this year and narrowed it down to 6 most worth your time. For each one, I'll say exactly who it's perfect for. Because not every post-apocalyptic game scratches the same itch, and I'd rather save you 20 hours than have you buy something that isn't right for you. Let's get into it. Game 1. Execiller. Play this if you want the closest thing to a new Fallout game in 2026. If you showed me Execiller without telling me what it was, my first instinct would be that someone at Obsidian left a USB drive in a taxi and a small studio found it. Retro-futuristic aesthetic, alternate history setting, open world, non-linear missions, multiple endings, bounty hunting as a career. It's set in an alternate 1998 New York, 20 years after a catastrophe wiped out 70% of humanity. You play as a bounty hunter navigating what's left of civilization, which apparently includes enough infrastructure to still have a legal system, but not enough to stop everything from being on fire. The Fallout DNA is obvious. Faction politics, moral choices that actually change things. A world that has a sense of humor about its own bleakness. But Execiller has its own identity too. The retro-futuristic New York setting feels genuinely different from the American wasteland you're used to. More neon and decay than rust and radiation, but the underlying question is the same. What does humanity do when everything collapses? It's scheduled for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, which means no excuses. If you play one game on this list, make it this one. The Cell. Of everything releasing this year, Execiller is the one that most directly fills the gap Bethesda has been leaving open for a decade. If it delivers on its promise, this is the game Fallout fans have been waiting for. The catch, it's a new studio, first major release, ambitious scope. There's a real chance it ships rough. Watch reviews before buying, but absolutely watch it. Game 2. Death Trash. Play this if you want something dark, weird, and deeply unsettling. Death Trash has been in development for a while, which is either a warning sign or a good sign depending on how charitable you're feeling. It got early released back in 2021, while the full-on release is expected later in 2026. The concept is a post-apocalyptic world overrun by organic, fleshy horror. Think less nuclear wasteland, more Cronenberg directed a Fallout game after watching too much Annihilation. The environments are alive in ways that feel wrong. The creatures are wrong. The whole thing is deliberately, consistently wrong. And if that sounds appealing to you, you're the exact kind of person this game was made for. Mechanically, it's an isometric RPG with stealth, combat, and dialogue options. Character builds matter. Choices have consequences. The writing has that specific flavor of weird that either grabs you immediately or makes you close the tab. I'm firmly in the first camp. What connects it to Fallout is the underlying bleakness and the respect for player intelligence. Death Trash doesn't explain itself. It drops you into a world that operates on its own logic and trusts you to figure it out. Fallout 1 and 2 had that quality, and most modern games have abandoned it entirely. The Cell. There's nothing else in the genre that feels like this. If Fallout's darkest moments are the ones that stuck with you, Death Trash goes further than any mainstream game would dare. The catch, the horror aesthetic is genuinely not for everyone. This is post-apocalyptic dread, not post-apocalyptic adventure. Game 3, Pioneer. Play this if you want Stalker meets Fallout with multiplayer. Pioneer is the game on this list that most directly scratches the Stalker itch, which for a lot of Fallout fans is actually the same itch. Set on a Soviet-era island after an unspecified catastrophe, it has anomalies, radiation zones, mutants, factions, and that specific flavor of Eastern European post-apocalyptic misery that Stalker built its entire identity around. If you've ever finished Stalker 2 and immediately wanted more, Pioneer is the next logical step. The multiplayer element is worth addressing directly because it's the biggest departure from what your average Fallout fan wants. Pioneer is an online game. You're sharing the world with other players, which changes the dynamics significantly. The emergent storytelling that makes single-player post-apocalyptic games special, the feeling that the world is reacting specifically to you, is harder to achieve when there are other survivors running around doing their own thing. That said, Pioneer handles the multiplayer more gracefully than Fallout 76 did at launch. Not that that's a particularly hard task. The world is dense enough that other players feel like part of the atmosphere rather than an intrusion, and the faction system creates genuine conflict between player groups, which in theory produces exactly the kind of emergent chaos that makes these games memorable. The Cell. The world is dense, the faction conflicts are real, and if you can get past the multiplayer element, it delivers that Stalker Fallout hybrid nobody else is making. The Catch. It's an online game. Server dependency, live service uncertainty, and other players interrupting your immersion. Strictly single-player people should look elsewhere. Game 4. Beast of Reincarnation. Play this if you want post-apocalyptic exploration with modern AAA production values. This one comes from Game Freak, which is a sentence I did not expect to write in a video about post-apocalyptic RPGs. Yes, that Game Freak, the Pokemon studio. They've made a post-apocalyptic action RPG set in Japan, and it looks considerably better than anything their previous work would suggest. The setting is post-collapse Japan, reclaimed by nature and populated by creatures that draw on Japanese folklore and mythology. Think Horizon Zero Dawn, but replace the robot dinosaurs with something that feels distinctly Japanese, ancient, spiritual, and genuinely threatening. The production values are the story here. This is a proper AAA-looking game from a studio that has the budget and the technology to deliver visuals that most post-apocalyptic games can't match. The Fallout connection is loose. It's more exploration and discovery than RPG systems and faction politics. I'd say it's more akin to a Souls-like game rather than a proper Fallout. But for Fallout fans who love wandering a post-collapse world and finding out what's over the next hill, Beast of Reincarnation delivers that experience with a level of visual polish that most games on this list can't compete with. The Cell, the most visually impressive game on this list by a significant margin. If you want to lose yourself in a post-collapse world that actually looks next generation, this is it. The Catch. Game Freak has essentially no track record outside Pokemon. The RPG systems are an unknown quantity. Wait for reviews before committing. Game 5. Showa American Story. Play this if you want something completely unlike anything else on this list. I genuinely don't know how to categorize Showa American Story, which is part of why it's on this list. The premise is an alternate history where Japan colonized America in the 1980s, and then something went wrong. Zombies, monsters, a general sense that the world has ended in a very specific and very weird way. You play as a Japanese woman navigating post-apocalyptic America, which is now a bizarre hybrid of 1980s Japanese pop culture and American wasteland aesthetics. It's an action RPG with combat, exploration, and a story that seems to be aware of exactly how strange it is, and leans into that rather than apologizing for it. The humor is dark but playful. The world is visually unlike anything else in the genre right now. The reason it's on this list isn't because it's the most Fallout-adjacent game here. It isn't. It's because Fallout at its best has always been willing to be weird. The original Fallout didn't take itself completely seriously. It had talking deathclaws and jet-addicted raiders, and a villain whose entire motivation was a personal grudge dressed up as ideology. Showa American Story has that same willingness to commit to its own absurdity. The Cell. It commits fully to its own weirdness, which is rarer than it should be. There's genuine personality here that most post-apocalyptic games don't have. The Catch. The anime aesthetic and action focus will put off players looking for deep RPG systems. Know what you're getting before you buy. Game 6. As One We Survive. Play this if you want survival and colony building over RPG systems. As One We Survive scratches the settlement building itch that Fallout 4 created and then never quite satisfied. You're managing a colony of survivors in post-pandemic America, making decisions about resources, relationships, and how to handle the increasingly hostile world outside your walls. It's less about your individual character and more about the group, the collective survival of a community, rather than the adventures of a chosen one. The top-down perspective and colony management systems put it closer to Kenshi than Fallout in terms of gameplay, but the thematic territory is familiar. Post-collapse America, scarce resources, factions with competing interests, and the constant question of how much you're willing to sacrifice to keep your people alive. It's launching in early access, which is worth flagging. Early access post-apocalyptic survival games have a mixed track record. Some become classics, some stay in early access forever, and quietly disappear. As One We Survive looks promising enough to watch, but maybe not to buy on day one. The Cell, for Fallout 4 settlement builders who always wanted that part of the game to go deeper, this is built specifically for you. The catch, early access, and colony management means you're the administrator of a post-apocalyptic story rather than the protagonist of one. So those are 7 post-apocalyptic games actually shipping in 2026, while Todd Howard decides whether Skyrim deserves a toaster port. Execiller for the closest thing to a new Fallout. Death Trash for the players who want their post-apocalypse genuinely unsettling. Pioneer for Stalker fans who want company. Beast of Reincarnation for the explorers who want AAA production values. Showa American Story for everyone who wishes the genre was weirder. As One We Survive for the settlement builders. Which one are you most looking forward to? Let me know in the comments. My personal favorite is Execiller, but all the other ones look promising in their own way. And of course, if there's a game that's coming out in 2026 that I missed and that you're looking forward to, let me know. I'm really curious. Oh, and by the way, if Bethesda announces Fallout 5 with a date before any of these come out, I'm going to eat this whole list. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.